Hello and welcome to another episode of a weekly Waypoint, this time a little earlier than usual because I've got quite a busy week ahead of me and I thought I normally record one day before the actual episode comes out. I don't really feel comfortable recording something that's supposed to be a reflection of where I'm currently at, what my week has been like, and putting that 2 days ahead because that kind of feels weird. It shouldn't feel weird, but it does feel weird, so that's why this is on a Monday. Unless this is on a Tuesday, in which case I fucked up. We're playing Unreal Tournament 99, Instagib with 16 people on a map, or 16 bots I should clarify, on a map, which is only really designed to hold up to 6 people because it's fun, it's dumb, it's fun. And that's what video games are all about. That's not to say that I'm doing Unreal Tournament because there's nothing else to do. There's plenty of other things I can do. For a brief moment I did consider recording a match of Solitaire for reasons I'll get into in a minute. Oh plums, I forgot to talk about it. Basically Microsoft Solitaire Collection came out for Game Pass for PC and I played it and I surprisingly really enjoy Solitaire and it's a problem. Anyway, back to the video. But I thought, no, that's... I mean, I know the background video is background video, but it's gotta be at least a little bit interesting, right? But no, the reason why my mind wandered back to Unreal Tournament 99, which is pretty much the heart of this series, let's be honest, we just haven't visited in a while, is... They released Quake as a surprise. They remade Quake, I should say, or I guess I should say remastered. They remastered the original Quake and it's on Xbox Game Pass, and I downloaded it probably quite foolishly on Xbox even though I do have a PC, and I played a bit of it there. And I went to play the multiplayer expecting to love it because obviously, you know, look at what you're watching, Unreal Tournament. I love Unreal Tournament, but I found out that actually it's well, I'm not going to say it's not that good. I'm going to give it another try on PC at some point. Maybe it's just not to be played with a controller because, surprise, Quake wasn't designed for controllers. And although it's fine to play campaign on the controller because I have played a few levels, it works fine. It feels a little bit stiff, and when you have to translate that stiffness of movement into a fluid online multiplayer where people are like, you know, snapping around to shoot you and stuff like that, it feels, I mean, it feels every age that it has lived in, if you know what I mean. There is a midge in front of my face. Get out away from here. But yeah, I'll probably have more thoughts about Quake in the week, next week. I was going to say in the weeks to come. I doubt I'm going to be talking about it weeks and weeks and weeks from now. But then again, maybe I will download it on PC and I'll absolutely love the multiplayer, but I don't see that happening. It's very basic. And I mean, if you think this is basic, that's way more basic. Last week, I mentioned that I was getting back into the Elder Scrolls Online, and boy, did I get back into the Elder Scrolls Online. Well, let's just say I was very hyper-focused on Dragon Quest 11 for a while, and while I do still put a couple of hours into that every so often, I'm going to keep going. It's very much kind of fallen into the more passive slot of the game that I play as opposed to the active one. Although I'm still kind of obsessed with Dragon Quest as a whole. I booted up my Switch earlier just to remind myself what Dragon Quest 1 was like on that, because I tinkered with that for about half an hour when it came out, and I'll probably go back to it when I'm done with Dragon Quest 11. I'll go back to it, I'll start a new playthrough, I'll see what kind of content I can make out of it. And if you just went, ooh, I like you. I realised, I don't know if I already mentioned this, apologies if I did, but I realised that you can get Dragon Quest 1, 2, 3 on Switch, 4, 5 and 6 on phones, which at this point, fine. I won't be able to make content about it, but fine. And 7 and 8 on 3DS, and I've already got 9 on DS, so you really do have access to every Dragon Quest, as long as you put down a bit of money, of course. And of course they're very long games, I'm not going to buy them all at once, and I'm not going to play through them all in one go, obviously, but you know, it's just something that's on my mind right now. Anyway, getting back to the Elder Scrolls Online, basically I don't remember where I got to last week talking about it, but I logged onto my main character Brakosh, the Orc Stamina Dragon Knight. I tried to continue doing some Blackwood I always forget the name of the damn place, but I tried to do some Blackwood content on him, but without ESO Plus it just kind of felt a little bit weird because I'm used to being able to run around and loot chests, and it's very much a little thing that makes the tingly brain juice happen, and when that's not there and you're used to doing it on a character and doing all your crafting and kind of participating in more of the everyday MMO style parts of the game, which is kind of what ESO Plus is good for, then not being able to do that on a character where you normally do that feels weird. So instead I decided to make a character who was going to be the one I played when I didn't have ESO Plus, so I wasn't going to do any crafting on him, I wasn't going to worry about picking up stuff for a craft bag or anything like that, and he is called Slinks Under Stars. He is an Argonian Nightblade, Stamina Nightblade I should say, and I'm basically just taking him through the Ebonheart Pact storyline, which is something, well, the first time I played the game on PC back in, I keep saying 2014, but I think it's 2015 that I played it for the first time. I played a Dark Elf Magicka Sorcerer, and I played through the Ebonheart Pact stuff. That was the first stuff I did. So going back and doing all of this stuff is very weirdly nostalgic for me for a few reasons. I mean, I go into it in the video that will be coming out eventually. There's going to be more Adventures in Tamriel videos, but it's kind of like when I ran it on my PC originally, I couldn't run it very well. I played it on my laptop. This was before I even got this. Oh, I was going to tap it, but that's probably a bad idea. This gaming PC I've got next to me at the minute, which is pretty damn old at this point itself. But on my laptop, that game ran terribly. Textures loaded in, like, after I was directly looking at them for about 5 to 10 seconds is when they would then eventually decide to load in. So the game looked like cardboard half the time. The fog was very close, the frame rate was very low, and now I get to play it on Xbox Series S with 60 frames a second, with, you know, obviously like no fog, like textures that are pretty much on high settings all the time, at least in 60 FPS mode. At 4K mode, 30 FPS mode, obviously they're very high, extremely high all the time, but I don't play in that mode. And the best part is the load times, man. Like, you're gonna get sick of me putting in clips about the load times, but literally it's like blink and you miss it sometimes. From zone to fucking zone. It's insane, because I remember sitting for 5 minutes waiting for Stonefalls to load. So I am extremely happy with it, and it really helped me appreciate the Ebonheart Pact storyline a little bit better. But what also helped me appreciate the Ebonheart Pact storyline better was the fact that I have spent more time in that game. I know more about that world, and more about the lore, and more about where story threads go, and what characters turn out to be, and just kind of like my place in the world. The first time I was playing through that game, I was just comparing it all to WoW. I was like, oh, so this is like an analogue of this, or, you know, this is this version of this. I was like, what's the Stormwind of the Ebonheart Pact? What's their, like, faction capital city? And while they do ostensibly have one, it's not quite the same. And yeah, just like, if you've never played your first time quests of ESO after becoming well versed with that world, I recommend going back and doing them again, because you will appreciate them more for what they are, because you do not realize how much time you take just trying to get to grips with things and being like, wait, what do you mean living gods? Who's Almalexia? Wait, is this Vardenfell? Is this where Morrowind takes place in Elder Scrolls 3? And all this kind of a thing. Now I know what's going on, and I'm kind of like getting more story out of it. I'm like, oh, so now I know who the fuck Almalexia is. I know that it's important that she's doing this thing, you know? But hey, then Payday happened, and I could justify getting at least a month of ESO Plus. And I'm back on Brakosh, and I'm finishing Blackwood stuff. I'm trying to get all of the side mission stuff out of the way before I finish the main story quest, because the main story quest kind of alluded to that I should go and do that. So I'm pretty sure I have done pretty much all of the side content at this point. I'm probably just going to hop back on and finish that very soon. So yeah, as you can tell from that fucking ramble, geez, I'm back in here. So looking ahead, Psychonauts 2 comes out on Wednesday, and so does Gamescom, although that's not quite the right way of phrasing that. But Gamescom I underestimate every year. E3 I make a big fuss about, and I do like blog posts about, oh, this is what I want to see, and then I do a blog post about, hey, this is what we saw, and I talk about it a lot, and I do a thoughts on about it and all this. Gamescom, I'm like, oh, I guess Gamescom's happening, and then it happens, I'm like, holy shit, a whole bunch of games just got announced, and we already know that there's going to be a new Saints Row revealed, or I think they might have said reboot, I'm not sure about that though, but more excitingly, Lego Star Wars. Finally, we're going to learn more about LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, which is something I've been very excited about since they first announced it in, I want to say 2019, or maybe that was when it was meant to come out, I no longer remember, but it's been a while, and I'm fine, but it's, you know, they've had delays because hopefully they've been working on it and making it the best game it can be, because LEGO games can be very hit or miss, and LEGO Star Wars in particular is very important to me, so yeah, I'm very excited to see what they show at Gamescom on that front. I often worry that I talk too much about video games on this show, and it's not a video game show, it's a how's my week been show, it's just how much of my life I have wrapped up in video games at this point. One day, I'm sure I'll look back on this and be like, Jesus Christ, I had no life, but hey, dear future me, I'm happy with that at the minute. Well, you know how I feel about it. I'm happy enough about it. Anyway, I should mention What If, because that's been happening week to week, and it's I'm delighted with it. I bloody love everything about that. Like, anyone, well, not anyone who knows me, but I guess anyone who's read my blog, which is probably making a very generous assumption if I'm saying even that, but I like multiverse theory, and I like butterfly effect theory, and I could go on rambles about how interesting it is that one little tiny difference could have this massive knock-on effect and make so many changes to the world, and what that means, and for our universe and all that kind of thing. But I'll leave that to the blog post I wrote on that in 2014 or whenever it was. But anyway, my point is, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say the F word again. I've been quite a saucy boy today, but I'm gonna say fucking. I'm fucking love it. It's so good. So far we're 2 episodes in. I don't even know what the subject matter of the 3rd episode is meant to be. But I do know that at some point this series is going to tackle Marvel Zombies, which is a comic series already, which I've read, and the original volume of that is absolutely, like, I don't care that much about zombie apocalypse storylines, but the idea of it happening in a Marvel universe and what that even looks like in a superhero world, it took me off guard as to how good that was. The subsequent volumes, not so much. They were fun, but they weren't quite as, like, you know, really cool or exciting or anything like that. Man, I'm really good at articulating my thoughts today, but yeah, I'm really excited to see what's next for Marvel What If. Someone on Twitter said, oh hey, you know, let's do What If Star Wars. What episodes would you like to see in a What If Star Wars? And it kind of took me as, like, that's not really the right... I mean, I'm not going to fucking gatekeep multiverse theory, don't worry about that, but I feel like there's better kind of IPs to do that with, because Star Wars is very much like a... obviously it's starting to spin off and have lots of different things, but that universe is still being expanded and built, and when you think Star Wars, you very much think the Skywalker saga, you think about those characters and that story arc, and there's not a lot of room for offshoots, whereas something like, I don't know, like DC love doing what if style things. They don't call it that obviously, but they love doing multiverse related things. I mean, just look at Injustice. I've read the 1st volume of Injustice, and I think it might be some of the best comics I've ever read, so it's just cool. I like it, so I recommend checking that out if you've got Disney Plus. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I've got a very busy week this coming weekend. So far I've got no videos scheduled, so if stuff gets a little bit spotty, I apologise. I accepted overtime like a good boy who likes money and doesn't want to starve, so I'll be doing that in between Gamescom. But anyway, thank you for watching, see you next week.